Hello everyone and welcome to the final round of 32 group. It's Group H, and what a group this is. This is a mega stacked group. Soma, Noob, Rush, and Yoon. And to help me with this group, of course, we have the one and only Voddy.
Yeah, so obviously everybody knows Rush. I assume everybody knows Soma as well. Not everybody knows that Yoon actually beat Flash on the ladder, which is, he's back now. He's not really playing tournaments, but he's playing ladder. Yoon did beat him. Noob, honestly, I don't know much about him, but have you seen him play before?
Well, I do remember seeing him play in Have At You along with YSC. They are definitely great Protoss players, and actually I've seen Noob play on the ladder a decent amount these days. In fact, I've seen Artosis run into him a couple times.
Okay.
I mean, this guy is really freaking good, especially versus Terran. So I think if we get Noob versus Rush, it's not just, a free win for Rush. I think there's definitely a chance that Noob could take down somebody like Rush. But like you said also, Yoon taking down Flash, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy. Like, even though it wasn't in the tournament, even though Flash just started playing again, I don't care, dude. If you beat Flash, that's a big deal. So, but yeah, first map is going to be, of course, Vermeer for all of these games, which is, I mean, it's pretty good for Terran. It's not unplayable, but I'd definitely say it's a Terran map. But even so, like, a lot of Protoss players actually pick Vermeer, even though it's statistically good for Terran. So, I don't know.
Well, our first match is going to be Soma versus Noob, and that is going to be a crazy matchup. Zerg versus Protoss. Everybody knows that Soma is amazing versus Protoss just in general.
Yeah, and you know what else? He's got a very unique style. Well, he doesn't always do it, but sometimes he does what I like to call Soma nonsense, where he'll go stuff like 2 hatch, spire, only make 1 mutalisk to scout with it, and then like make drones, like... Yeah. He is the best at using the aspect of Zerg, which is like tricking you with larva, because scouting Zerg doesn't mean you know what's happening, right? Because like, you don't know what those eggs are, you don't know what this larva are gonna turn into, right? And so he's been doing a lot of stuff like that, where, he fakes you with the production, makes you overextend in one direction and go somewhere else.
Well, that's cool to see. Our players are ready. And let's just get into game 1 right now, which is going to be Soma versus Noob. Let's see what sneaky shenanigans he has for us. Okay, in the top left, our brown Protoss, it is Noob. And in the bottom right, we've got the purple Zerg. It is Soma. And I like what you pointed out about Zerg, where just because you show something doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's going to be. And even though I don't watch Soma that often on his stream, I've had the same experience where he'll show like he's going a 973. The next thing I know, he's got 60 drones. He's just sitting there. And I'm like, okay. And then he just maxes out real fast and just has a billion units.
Yeah, and if you can trick your opponent in that way, and you get ahead of Zerg, you can have games where like, you're just lurker containing him all game, For example, if he thinks you're going mutalisks, you get late robotics. You don't go mutalisks, you get lurkers, stuff like that. We have a fast scout here, so this is probably going to be a 4-inch expansion. When you scout this early, I mean, you need to do it lest you just die to 9 pools and stuff. So he's playing it safe here, and usually people scout later with the gateway expansions for a lot of reasons we don't have to go into now, since we're seeing a 4-inch expansion. But it's gonna be interesting to see what Soma goes for here. He's going for an overpool, is that right? Yeah, okay. So that's a safe middle of the road builder that can't really get cannon rushed, that doesn't really lose to anything.
Really safe opener from him. I think he knows he's the favorite in this particular matchup. No need to go for a risky opener. And we've been seeing more often these days cannon rushes, and I know cannon rush can be pretty good on Vermeer. And in fact, because there's a double scout, that could be exactly what Noob was actually looking for, but not going to work this time around, so he will just take an expansion behind it.
Yeah, Noob is either looking to cannon rush here, or he's just playing it safe, because against a 4 pool you actually have to double scout like this, or you actually just die if you don't scout it correctly. But he's gonna come in here and see the overpool, which means he lost the ability to delay the hatchery, because he went into the main. But sometimes Zergs will actually send a fake drone to make you stay there while they have links making, so... you know, choosing to play it safe there.
Well, we'll see if those are actually lings or if they're drones. When there it is, there's one of them.
Already with the Soma nonsense coming out. Like,
Because Soma nonsense. I'm gonna have to remember that next time I watch him play. Now that probe got off the first shot. That drones does have to be careful, but a couple lings will save the day. And any Zerg or any Protoss knows that that drone, once it gets on top of you, there's a real threat. The probe may actually die. Cannon coming down. Should be in time.
Only making 1, which is good for him. He didn't overreact and make 2. And that's very nice. And that's a pretty early Nexus also.
This was a good streamlined build so far for Noob. We've got gas coming down. The 245 gas. I think this is the typical Zerg gas timing. Doesn't necessarily mean it is 973, but I've seen it a decent amount this timing.
Yeah, and of course Protoss is also going ahead and getting that assimilator. No gases 2 yet or anything like that. So we're gonna have both players with their technologies on par roughly with each other. Nobody's really gonna have a big tech lead here. But we don't know what they're going for yet. I mean, not everybody even goes Stargate these days. Some people actually play without that and get a Dark Archon instead to deal with the Mutalisks. We have a Hydra then going down here. And this has not, of course, been scouted yet, so... Could be a 973 here.
Yep, definitely could be 973. We'll see how hard he wants to commit to it. We saw in an earlier group where Action actually committed pretty hard to 973. And then all of a sudden he exploded into even worker counts, which was pretty crazy. So I know Soma can definitely power like a madman despite showing the Hydra Den. We'll just wait and see how many Hydras he actually wants to build this time around. The probe still hasn't gotten in, so he still has no idea.
Yeah, I mean, he got in earlier, and then he left, and I have to question that decision, because once you're in the Zerg base, I mean, you really want to be there until he gets speed, preferably, or he, like, really commits, and there were only 2 links, remember? And yet he left, so that means he's not going to be able to see this Hydrolisk then, you know? And as you were saying, you know, one of the main strengths of 973 is that you can either go Hydras or not. You can really fake and take control of the match, and Protoss has to play perfectly to keep up if they go for the standard gateway style. Hasn't even been scouted at all so far. And in fact, that was quite an early Hydra then, considering he hasn't made any Hydras yet. Like, did he really need to get it that early? Maybe for an upgrade or something, I'm not sure.
Noob must know something that we don't know, because there's no Stargate. He's gone for an extremely quick Citadel. He's even seemed to cut a few probes at his natural. 5 minutes to have 4 gateways is pretty nuts.
Yeah, that is a lot of units, and I mean, some people like to do this against late layer fast Hydrisks. They like to go, you know, mass speed lot. Okay, the first Hydrisk finally coming out, so I have to imagine he got that early then just for an upgrade or something, and then he went back to making drones, and then he made Hydrisks, so... we're gonna see, I guess, an attempted Hydra bust at this point, but the nice thing about going with gateways like this is that obviously the Corsair doesn't really give you anything against Hydrisks, right? But then you can get into a position where Zerg like has to keep making units to survive. If they ever make drones, you just run out. If they make Hydrisks, you're safe as Protoss, and if they make drones, you punish them, so... that might be what he's trying to go for. I mean, he still doesn't know the Hydrisks are coming, though, so... he's gonna have to get Zealot speed eventually to deal with that. Before Zealot speed, I do believe Zerg has quite a dangerous timing right here.
Speed should be kicking in for the Zealots, like within the next 30 seconds or so. He's got 5 Zealots right now, which is decent, but the fact that he already has 4 gates done, you know that 5 Zealots is going to turn into 9, 13 really damn fast. Finally, these Hydras I think are going to be shown. Noob already had cannons built, so he's pretty safe here. I think this is really going to catch Soma off guard, because he's no way thinking like you're going to have speed in just a second. Here he goes. He's going to... Okay, well, that was a mistake. Now he's going to lose maybe a couple Zealots for free.
Yeah, we of course have a slow Overlord here as well, so making a Dark Templar is not going to be an option to just solve this. But at some point, like, a bunch of Zealots are going to run out with speed. And if Soma stopped making Hydrisks to make drones instead, that could be a nasty surprise, as you were saying.
And actually, I think killing the gateway is kind of a mistake here, because that just opens the floodgates, and here come those Zealots. They do have +1 already, so Noob's build is insanely strong at this point. And actually, if you think about it, it's 3 hatch production right now versus, well, 4 gate, and well, Zealots just beat Hydras in even numbers, and Zealots are going to run these over.
Yeah, he's just taking the battle, dude. He's just killing all the Hydras. Like, how often do you see this? That's crazy, actually.
He's like, you want to fight? Okay, come at me, pro. Let's fight then. And actually, Soma's in a bit of trouble. He's only got 4 hatches. You know, a lot of Zergs at this point will have 5 hatches complete, almost maybe 6 starting. So he's in a bit of trouble, and also he has no sunken.
Yeah, of course, he doesn't have the drone count to make sunken. It would cost him too much. He, of course, has no lair, so he can't stop this with the Mutalisks. So at this point, it's just Hydras. And that means Protoss can just slam down a ton of gateways, which is exactly what Noob is doing right here. This might be a bit of an overextension, but you don't actually want to fight here in Zerg. I mean, yeah, this is good for Zerg, because the thing is, Zerg has nothing else going on, right? So you want to threaten an attack, so he has to keep making units, but never actually taking the fight, because your army's getting stronger. You're eventually going to get Storm. He's not going to get Lurkers. He's not going to get Mutalisks or anything. But, so that was good for... It basically gave Zerg value with those units that wouldn't really have any future. So we might go for a soft containment here. Of course, Storm should be on the way nonetheless, so still an okay position for Protoss, but it could be even better.
Every time we've looked at the natural in the third base of Zerg, the drone count has been really, really low. Whereas Protoss, I don't think really has missed a beat in terms of their econ. I will say, the one thing that Protoss did miss is, okay, well, never mind, we've got another big engagement here. DT is going to try and sneak out, but what I was going to say, in order for Noob to get out this many units, and this quickly, he needed to cut gas, which means he's actually kind of lacking in terms of tech, like the Templars are not out just yet. We've got a drone coming across the map. I don't think this is for a proxy hatch.
And the DT came out. Yeah, that was a bad rally point, most likely. So, dude, having a DT out is so annoying for Zerg, because again, no lair, so no overlord speed. And there's like, at any point, you could just counterattack with an invisible man and potentially win the game.
Invisible, and there he goes.
So he has to keep that in mind now.
Yeah, at least Soma knew, or knows, that it's coming. So he should be getting overlords in position. You can see he instantly retreats all of his Hydras to overlord positions. And we do have, I guess that's now 6 gates for Noob after the frontal gate got taken down.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, definitely underdog, but taking control of this game. So Soma going back to droning right now. Getting away with it so far. But I imagine with Storm and like 4 or 5 Templar, he's going to move out here. And of course, there's not really going to be a need for an observer. Noob, of course, doesn't know all that because he doesn't have a way to scout the actual inside of the Zerg base. He's scouting for the 4th base very well with his DT, and he's actually going to sneak in here, try to get some drones, but Soma's on top of it.
Yeah, but that Overlord's a little bit too far away. He may actually be able to kill a couple. He gets 1. He may get Hydra. He may be able to actually escape. If he can escape, that would be amazing. Okay, he's stuck now. He's not. Yeah,
is this worth it? I have to say, yes, dude. Look at all these lost mining time. I mean, that's also, a lot of damage.
Look at all the units at the top side. Noob's making an attack. At the same time, he knows all the Hydras are out of position, so he's just... Look how many Zealots there are! There's like 20 Zealots! Again, there's no skin to help.
Yeah, he should probably pull Captain. Well, I mean, I see he wants to make... Okay, here comes the Templar, actually, and if he's got them, yeah, he can make it work. One Storm gets wasted. Doesn't actually use it there for the Templar.
Get it off. Okay, now that was actually a decent Storm as the Hydras retreat into Storm, and actually there's an overwhelming amount of Zealots at both sides, maybe? Drones are going to have to drone drill here to try and support. The Zealot count is just crazy.
Yeah, and of course those drones not able to fight, I mean not able to harvest right now, so they're just fighting, causing more damage. Zealot reinforcements coming in, and even if he doesn't win the game right there, it's so good to do this to Zerg, where you're forcing Zerg to not develop economic power.
Yeah, and Soma, he will hold, so I guess he's not going to outright die here, but Noob's just in such a crazy position. Also with all this pressure, I keep looking to see if there's ever a Spire has been built, but it hasn't. So there's no threat of Mutas sniping the Templars. There's no threat of, at least no Lurkers just yet.
I would really love for Noob to take a 3rd base right now. You know, there's no way. Okay, well, I mean, this is pretty good, I suppose. It's just, okay, he's forcing this multi-cost harassment style, which is nice, but he has the cash, I'm sure, to expand behind this, surely. So I don't know why he's not doing it. Maybe he doesn't have the APM or something, or he's choosing not to, but... in any case, he's just going to try to 2-base it, looks like.
Yeah, I've been waiting to see if he'll mix in some Dragoons, and there they are right there. He's starting to mix them in. He still only has 2 Templars, but Soma, he's still on the back foot. He's going to get in a drone cycle here.
Yeah, look at that saturation. He's actually caught up. So at this point, Zerg is actually economically ahead of Protoss. And I have to question this decision to not get a third base when he really was dominant enough. Because think about this. 4 extra Zealots, like, what's that really gonna matter? Having 4 more or 4 fewer Zealots, it's not really a big deal when you're that far ahead, right? So just make the Nexus.
Well, I think Nexus will be coming down pretty soon, but we can see the supplies getting closer and closer for Zerg. A few minutes ago, or even just a couple minutes ago, it was like 90 to 60, and that's a big gap. Now it's 110 to 80. We've got the +1 weapon and armor upgrade for Protoss, so up in upgrades too. That's a great position for Protoss to be in. But like you said, Zerg is caught up in the saturation, and Protoss is getting pretty thin on minerals in the main.
Yeah, okay, but at this point he is taking that third, which means Zerg either needs to destroy the third or take his own fourth, like right now. And it looks like Soma's going for the aggressive option, so he wants to destroy this base. But we already have an Observer, so a Lurker is not really going to be an issue. We don't have any Mutalisks yet. I think... We don't know how many Templar Protoss has, but I have to imagine he's safe here with this base. And since we're not really seeing a fourth from Zerg, Protoss is really taking initiative in this game again.
I think Protoss is just fine. Okay, that's a second forge. I was wondering if that was a second forge, so he's really going to start ramping up his upgrades. If he can get to 2-1 before Zerg can get to +2, that would be amazing for Protoss. I saw a 6 hatch going down for Soma, so still no 4th base anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't see how you're going to be able to... I mean, maybe there's going to be like a Mutalisk switch, and that's his all-in, possibly, because we of course have no Dark Archon and no Corsairs. But, I mean, I hope there are Mutalisks in those eggs, because otherwise I just don't see what the hope is for Zerg.
Yeah, they definitely could be in the eggs. We see Soma's gas is really, really low right now. Overlord got a full scout on everything, so he sees that there's no Stargates, so he should know that Mutaswitch could be amazing. Supplies are still relatively high for Protoss in comparison to Zerg, 145 to 122, and there are the Mutalisks.
Okay, so he does have a potential Templar snipe here with a good amount of Mutalisks, and a 4th base behind it also. So if he could reset the Templar count and then go back to macro and take his 4th, that could be a way to win here. But so we'll have to see how good the Storms are and how good the micro is here against the Mutalisks.
Well, this seems like a mistake actually. Someone's on the low ground with his Hydras. Okay. He's gonna run away.
So he sees the armor coming. Is he gonna counterattack the base or try to go for the Templar here?
He's looking for those trailing Templars. They're slower than all the other units, so it's likely that they're just trailing behind. This is a very fearsome army. There is a lot of goons, but of course goons do half damage to Mutas, so Mutas should be able to get in there and snipe a couple of the Templars.
Yeah, I mean, he still hasn't seen the Mutalisk, so we're gonna have to see if he's ready. Okay, here we go. Is he ready? No storm. Yeah, there we go. 1 storm.
He just stormed all of his goons. However, those storms hit a lot of Hydras, and that one does also. And Noob may actually be able to push through this because the storms have been amazing. There's not that many Zealots, but look, the +2 armor power spike for Protoss has just kicked in.
Yeah, Protoss is ahead by 3 upgrades, dude. That is okay, it's by 2. Okay, so but still, he's massively ahead. And at this point, even though he doesn't have any storm left, it doesn't even matter. Maybe, okay, actually, he even had a storm. But he doesn't even need storm because there are just so many Dragoons on. GG.
Oh, snap. I was not expecting to see this. I thought for sure that Soma was going to take the game versus Noob, but Noob really brought it today. That was a crazy fast Zealot timing from him, and he equaled the amount of Hydras with his Zealots. There was really just, I guess, no chance for Soma to really recover after that.
Yeah, there was some good awareness too. Basically, like, you should always be looking at your army. It's like, you know when Tarolg loses the vessel to Scourge because you go do something else for a second, and it's like, oh, rip. Basically, Protoss also has that issue when Mutalisks come in against your Templar. But Noob was prepared that time. He was ready for it. We saw, you know, some good micro moving away with the Templar and even storming the Mutalisks.
Yeah, really well done from Noob. Like I said, he's been playing recently. I know he was looking strong on the ladder, but I didn't know he was looking this strong. And with him taking down Soma, like I was saying, Noob's PVT is really good. If he gets rush here, I think he's got a really good shot making out in first. And after taking down Soma, he's probably got a good shot taking down Yoon too. So really well done. We're going to be going into our second match in just a moment, which is going to be Rush versus Yoon. Everybody knows Rush's Terran versus Zerg is absolutely nuts. But Yoon, as he stated, has taken down Flash multiple times, actually. So this should be actually an exciting game.
Yeah, I mean, if Yoon hadn't beaten Flash, a lot of people would consider him the heavy underdog here. And I mean, I guess technically he still is the underdog, but so was Noob against Soma, and Noob just raffle stomped right there, so who knows, dude. Anyway, the positions here, of course, are pretty sweet for Terran, because the Overlord is not going to sit over your natural. Not that that's a huge deal, but it is nice to have a Zerg. You can, of course, only send your Overlord to a position that has a cliff over the natural, or it just dies, so...
Against somebody that 8-racks is quite often, you know, you see sometimes Zergs go in opposite direction, but versus somebody like Rush, who 8-racks is a considerable amount. If you go for that and he intercepts your Overlord, the game might just be instantly over. This time, it's not going to be.
Oh,
Is it going to be an 8-racks?
Yes, sir. That's right,
there it
that's
is.
A barracks and 8 supply.
Yeah, I was the way he was positioning next to that egg, I thought it was going to be a depot, but not the case. It will be the patented Rush 8-racks, and he is really damn good with this.
Yeah, he does this so much. Honestly, at this point in the metagame, Terrans are getting away with 8-racksing so much. Like, I wish Zergs would just... I mean, Shine does this, but no one else goes 12 pool. Like, you need a build order that smashes 8-racks, but also isn't behind against a 1-racks expansion. And 12 pool is that build order, because you get the fastest possible Mutalisk, so it's always good, but you also get the links if you want. But anyway, here we're gonna have 12 hatch. And we're gonna have to see if he scouts with a drone, or if he makes an 11 pool. Like, there's some options still that we're gonna keep track of. So if he makes another drone here, and he doesn't, good, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for also, is if he's going to be greedy, and he's not. He's just going to try and get down his normal pool timing and he'll have to deal with it with just a handful of drones. A lot of Zergs have different responses to this. I've seen players pull almost their entire drone line. I've seen players pull just 5 drones and deal with it.
Yeah, it's really the question of whether you want to prevent the bunker from going up, or allowing it to go up and then flooding it with links. Anyway, he scouted the marine now with his drone, right? So I'm pretty sure he knows about this. Yeah, he's even seeing with the Overlord. So we're gonna see what he goes for here. Will he pull many drones or few drones? So far, not really pulling that many from what I can tell, so looks like this bunker is gonna be allowed to finish, but then he's gonna flood links, is the plan.
Yep, and in ASL we've seen some 8-raxes, and in ASL when they went for fast gas as Zerg, actually they canceled it, but this time around Yoon has just gone with the gas. He's saying, well, I'm going to be able to hold it with just drones and still get my lair tech up and running. The Marine SCV micro is pretty good, but the drone has gotten around the Marine. He takes down 1, he takes down 2.
Wow, that was some sick micro right there. And he actually pulled in, he only pulled a few drones at first, then he pulled way more, so just gonna stop this with drones. Bunker didn't go up at all. And I can tell on the minimap that this is not a gas follow-up from Rush. Sometimes people go for, you know, like a 1-1-1 after this, other times they expand. And considering there's not even a Vulture coming in here... Wait, did he even make any links?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was about to say, he didn't make any links. There we go, just the first links being built right now. Rush is actually sitting on the high ground, so if Yoon is not paying attention and moves up into that high ground and even loses 1 link, Rush could instantly counterattack. He also knows that it's only 4 links.
Yeah, and no sunken, so I mean, he is greeting it up here, dude, with all these drones coming out, not making a sunken. Like, he's assuming there's not a Vulture follow-up, which he's right about, so I'm complimenting him. And then, okay, here we go. He has to go now because of that Link Scout, so I'm assuming Links are on the way now, more of them, for Yoon.
I don't know, because actually Yoon was supply blocked.
Oh no, are you serious right now?
These Marines get behind the mineral line, he's in big time trouble.
He's gonna have to fight with drones again. Okay, 2 links do come out, losing several drones. Damn, he was in a great position, and he still has a card to play, which is the fast Mutalisk on his way. But that was definitely pretty sweet for Terran. If he had Link speed, he could counterattack now, actually, with like a Link flood. But he doesn't even have that, he was going for the faster layer instead.
I actually don't know what you can do as Zerg at this point. I'm thinking if he knew that it was a wall, try and go Hydra Lurker Ling Bust, but I don't know, man. I don't think you can play Mutas into this. You've lost so much econ. I don't see how you can recover.
Yeah, I don't know. He was in such a great position right there, but yeah, just played a little bit too greedily. So the Spire is on the way, and this is still like a good Spire timing compared to the take of Terran. But it would have been so much better. And I mean, honestly, dude, going for Lurkers, as you were saying, wouldn't even be a bad idea at this point.
Versus the wall, Lurkers are actually not that bad. It seems dumb, but it's actually surprisingly decent because you're going to be able to pop depots, and that can supply block Terran, and they're in full wall and panic mode. Also, some players don't know if you're all in or not, so if they try and hold the natural and you're actually all in,
exactly.
They just get busted. But we're going to have a small move out here. There's, again, not that many lings. There's no speed either, so Rush feels confident to make this move.
Yeah, he should be, seeing how Zerg was playing, seeing the lack of ling speed even. I mean, at this point, like, there's going to be a sick 2-minute stim timing, which is probably going to force sunken colonies, honestly. And then, yeah, that's just going to, like, if he doesn't waste these units, he can really, like, indirectly hurt Zerg. What you're doing is, like, you're leaning on Zerg, you're threatening to attack, but you never actually attack. And Zerg just, like, has to fall further behind by making units. You never give him the fight he wants. So he makes Sunkens. You don't actually run into them. He's gonna make more Sunkens. Anyway, here we go with the first timing. So forcing 2 Sunkens already. And we do have Stim here with this as well. I'm a little bit worried for him if he decides to overcommit here, though. If he actually goes in and loses the Marines, that could be a way to throw his advantage. But we're gonna have to see the mutas come out like right now, or this could be dangerous.
Yeah, and Rush is somebody that will just go for it. If he thinks there's even a chance that he could just end the game, just like that, he sees the Sunken's not done. Already that Sunken goes down to half health. First Mutalisk pops out, but it can't really do much. There's only 4 right now, but those...
the Firebat too.
Yeah, a Firebat could just run into the main and kill all the drones. I think this game just ends. The Mutas were slightly too late to help the Sunkens, and now he's going to lose all of his drones. Oh, no.
Well, okay. I mean, he stays alive for now, I suppose. So we're gonna have to see like a bunch of turrets go up. Hopefully, yeah, they're already on the way. And a bunker would be nice as well, but he's just economically, he's gotta be like massively ahead of him. He's just totally using.
He almost gets that drone, but yeah, Rush is really far ahead. He got like 3 workers there too. That is a lot of turrets though. If he didn't do as much damage as he had done throughout this game, to build, what is this, like 15 turrets? That is one way to throw your lead, because that's over 1,000 minerals.
Yeah, of course, if you make turrets too late, you die to Mutalisks, but if you make them too early, then you die later economically. You get the slow death or the fast death. But at this point, he is correctly identifying that the only card Zerg has to play is Mutalisks. So just shut that down, and you're gonna be fine.
Well, he's gonna try and knock down this single turret, but he's gonna take a lot of damage by doing so. I think the racks count is... actually, it's 3. I forgot there's 1 on the low ground. So Rush has a decent amount of production here. This is so annoying to deal with as a Terran, watching your Marines die because of bounce shots from the turrets.
Yeah, this is why a bunker is nice, actually. At the wall, but looks like he's just gonna abandon the wall, which is fine. He's still ahead. I have to imagine the factory is on the way now, so... The question now is like, does he go for Valks or Vessels, right?
I think... Well, I was going to say I think he'll go for Vessels, but Valks have been so common that he may end up going for that. I couldn't actually see what that was at the top side of his face, but there's a chance to put up Valkyries. Now that's a good way to get back into the game, start picking off all the medics.
Yeah, but do we even have a 3rd base for Zerg? I mean, that's a yikes, playing on even basis as this race.
Yeah, it's definitely like a yikes to not have a 3rd base, but you also don't even have a 3rd hatch in general, so Yoon has no larva to play with at all, and it actually is an armory, so he's going to do a tank Valkyrie Marine medic timing.
Yeah, of course, if the enemy only has Mutalisks, then yeah, Valkyries are good. He played so well in the beginning with, like, when I was saying he only pulled a few drones, he started out with only a few, but then he pulled more later as reinforcements from the enemy arrived. So he kept scaling up his army, to always match what was there, instead of just pulling all of it at once, which is very economical. Then he took the risk of not making a Sunken, and it was great until he, didn't make the Sunken for a little bit too long, and he just got caught for it, I guess.
Leaders are trying to find the angle. He'll be able to buy time, keep tearing it back, Terran back for a little bit, but the add-ons are coming onto that starport and factory, so it's only a matter of time until the real damage threat, the Valkyrie, comes out.
Yeah, Terran doesn't even need to do anything right now. Probably what he's doing is continuously scanning Zerg's natural, seeing, okay, well, you don't have a lot of drones, so I can kind of just stand here outside of my natural and not have to do anything. I think he saw the egg there, but he's still prepared to deal with this. I mean, he's already prepared to deal with this because he seems to be going for a tank with Valkyrie push. In fact, he's even gonna walk up to the eggs with Marines.
Whoa! I didn't even realize that he's already got defilers. Okay, so he was trying to rush Dark Swarm.
Yes, that's why he's on 2 bases, of course. And that, of course, means Terran does have to do something, which he is doing. He's walking out here.
Oh, wow, one of the lasers got canceled. And by the way, those Marines don't even have speed. That was actually a pretty good engagement from him. I think that's as good of an engagement as he could possibly get. The entire army dies from Rush, and if there was
an overextension from Rush, actually. Like, I know catching those eggs seems good, but then when the 2 lurkers morph, you have to just like, you cannot stay there and fight the lurkers.
Yeah, we don't see a defiler just out just yet, but if there actually was one right now, he actually potentially end the game, because there's no counter to the defiler and the lurkers under Dark Swarm. The Valkyries don't help you, the tanks don't help you once the orange cloud is on the field.
Yeah, okay, like, obviously you're right, Valks don't do anything, tanks kinda don't do anything. I mean, they get like a few hits off, and then the lurkers burn, so then you don't get them. But if he can cut off reinforcements or just delay the push and get enough fire bats, that's gonna be a way to win. He could make a dropship to the counterattack, but I don't think he even has units to spare, to be honest. So here we go with the first swarm, and he's gonna have to make sure this is not in his base, you know, which he's doing a good job of. He's forcing Zerg to earn every centimeter here. He's gonna try to walk around here, and this is not really getting cut off. Okay, so he's gonna cut off reinforcements or counterattack here. Could go for like a base trade scenario. Possibly, if we don't have Defiler in Zerg's natural, then this could be good for Terran.
There's the first tank getting killed. What's unfortunate for Zerg at this point is he has nothing to consume. There's no Overlord, there's no Ling, so actually that single Dark Swarm is all he has right now, whereas Terran can just continue to push, or at least just sit outside the choke.
Yeah, this counterattack attempt was barely thwarted, but it's still cutting off reinforcements. And with this isolated army, as you were saying, obviously there's no supply line, so yeah.
GG. Like I said, if there were Lings there and he could push the Dark Swarm over and over and over, you know, maybe it's a little different, but Rush did such a good job to cut off reinforcements, like you said, and he does take the game. So that sets us up for a Terran versus Protoss. I was looking forward to this particular match. Noob versus Rush. Noob already looking damn good taking down Soma, and he'll be facing off versus Rush, who is amazing also versus Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, taking out Soma like that, when you're considered by everyone else the underdog, has to feel good. And if he can do the same to Rush here, that's like, that's a real breakout performance, you know, against some top tier players.
Oh yeah, that would be for sure an amazing performance, taking down 2 of the superstars of both the other races. We'll see if he can actually do it though, because Rush is a monster Terran versus Protoss. He can play all the builds too. He can do timings, he can do drops, he can do macro, he can do upgrade Terran. He's a very dangerous opponent.
Okay, here we go. So cross position on Ramir, Rush in the top right, Noob in the bottom left. Now, you've seen a little bit more about Noob than I have. Do you know if there's like a particular style he favors?
When I've seen him play versus Artosis or play versus some top brands and VODs, he seems to really favor just buffs, like, you know, like the 11 to 12 minute bust. Just, I'm gonna max out ASAP, whether it's off of a 12 Nexus, and just try and overrun you. That's what I generally see from him.
Got it. So he's into the very modern, popular currently style of, you know, gateway side advantage busts. So this might be like a forward gateway we're seeing here, because he's building. Yeah, this is probably gonna be a forward gateway, I have to imagine. Well, no, I mean, yeah, it has to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't waste your money traveling like that with a probe.
Yeah.
If you weren't gonna put the gateway out forward, so.
Yeah, so he's gonna put the pressure on right from the get-go. Actually, after I stated the busts that I had been seeing from Noob lately, I actually recently watched, I think, the Light and Scan coaching video, and in that video, Scan got hit with a dirty build, man. It was something like DT drop into Reaver, and then it was the fastest Arbiter recall pretty much I've ever seen. It was real dirty. So that's also a strategy that Noob can pull out.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's actually very scary to play against a Protoss who understands the off-meta but still quite strong builders, like fast DT, skipping Observer into Arbiter, stuff like that. Because, like, it's just, you gotta be so good at reacting to a bunch of different stuff that he has practiced, because he can practice that stuff whenever he wants to, but that you really don't get to practice against, because you only face it like once every 50 games, right? Anyway, a very late scout from Rush. So basically, he's like getting ahead by doing that, but the risk he's taking is that he can't react to Nexus first. Luckily, there is no Nexus first that he's facing, so in this case, it's a good thing that he scouted late, but that's the risk he's taking by scouting late like this.
Yeah, I've actually seen a decent amount of games of Rush recently where I've even seen games where he doesn't even scout versus Protoss until like he's already put down his command center, and I'm sitting there like, dude, if this guy went 12 Nexus, you can't even pressure with Marines or Vultures because you've already made the decision that you're not going to do that. But I agree with you. This was a late scout in general, and he's unfortunately going to go for the end scout, which means he's going to find Noob last, and that Cybernetics is not spinning Voddy. This could be anything.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that he made a forward gateway and then didn't make a Zealot. So I don't know what that's about. I mean, why would you travel there? Maybe he changed his mind after doing it, I'm not sure. In any case, yeah, not getting Dragoon range could mean a very fast expansion. Could mean like a turbo-fast robotics facility. We'll see what he puts down about now. And he's about to get the cash to make his choice.
I saw Noob was mining one on gas for a while. I think he's now put a couple back on, and look at that probe on the ramp right in the nick of time.
Oh, but that's why he put the gateway there? You think so? To get like the instant block?
Well, it lined up perfectly, right? So maybe.
Very interesting, actually. And you know what? Terran didn't even see the Nexus, did he?
Yeah, he didn't. He also Protoss hasn't scouted him, so he's got to be worried about proxies.
Yeah, and we, of course, do have a proxy here, so we'll see if that's a proxy robotics for Reaver, or... I mean, this is such a weird build from Noob right here. Like, we got a really fast expansion, delaying range, which is not weird. So far, so good. But then, in addition to that, you're proxying something, like... very unusual.
Well, you just had a feeling that SCV was going to get the 50-50 chance that it wouldn't get hit, just because Noob was not upgrading, I think, range. So now the SCV gets in, should have seen there's no range. Probably wondering, okay, well, where's all that gas going? And the answer is it's proxy robo at the top. And he's going to find it immediately.
Yeah, of course, when you see a lack of range, that's a really big reason to go scout like this. And there we go, so he's going to see everything. So at this point, even though he sees this, I don't know if he can go kill it. You know. Well, okay, we don't have the Dragoons coming. Like, if Noob had been there with the Dragoons, he could have been able to defend this. Of course, they don't have range yet, so he's gonna be here with one Dragoon.
Yeah.
No range, of course, means they cannot really kite these units.
You know, actually, Vulture Marine is really freaking strong, especially the way Terrans play these days, where they build them non-stop. Like you said, with no range, there's no threat of the Goon actually outranging any of these units, and the Vulture just runs into the main.
Yeah, so one Vulture gets in, it's gonna get how many probes? One. Okay, this is actually disastrous, because he chose to stay with 2 out of 3 Dragoons in order to not die to a counterattack, but then he's kinda getting countered anyway, so he's neither defending his base well, nor defending his proxy. Really getting no value out of that. Losing proxy and getting counterattacked easily. So Rush really in a command lead so far.
At least, I guess, he went observatory, so he may be able to get out one observer, but I'm not even sure if that'll complete the time. That robo looks like it is dangerously low, and there it goes, and that means that this was just a completely botched build. And what are you going to do now? He's going to rebuild his robo and just go into more gateways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At this point, you are behind, so you can definitely make comebacks in this matchup. I mean, in almost every matchup, I guess. Probably in every matchup, but like, his time is not now. He's gonna have to wait for, you know, maybe like a Reaver counterattack. Maybe catching the dropship could be nice, like if he would actually catch this, but of course he doesn't have any observers anywhere, so he doesn't even know it's coming, really.
At least with Rush going for this move, if there's goons in good position and this gets shut down, that will give a little bit of the map control back to Noob where he can potentially take a third base, but I see that all of his goons are out of position, so this could do devastating damage.
Yeah, of course, he's supposed to have observers by now, which is going to help you see stuff like this, but he doesn't. And dropping 2 vultures here, going to start working on those probes. 2 in the main as well. Massive damage already. Rush is getting further and further ahead right now. GG.
I was actually thinking he made GG here because, you know, it's not like you're playing ladder where, you know, you're the pro and you can actually make a comeback. This is also a pro, and when they go up this amount of workers, it's hard to actually come back. So unfortunately that backfired for Noob, and he's going to go down 0-1, but he's not out just yet. We're going to be going into game 2 in just a moment. Our next map is going to be Retro, and you know, I really do like this map, despite what other players think of it. I think this is a good Terran map, but it can be hard sometimes having to deal with Protoss on here.
It's statistically quite a balanced map. I think it's like 50% everywhere, except it's like 55-45 in Terran versus Zerg or something. I don't remember. It's something like that. So it's actually more balanced than the previous map. Of course, the map balance had nothing to do with what happened in the previous game. That was just a bunch of unfortunate events that we had there with the SCV getting in and stuff like that. But yeah, on this map, it is not as easy to take a third base as on Mierin, and it is not as easy to take a fourth base. But the overall number of maps, of bases, is low, which is good for Terran late game if you can take a split map situation.
That is true. You could definitely easily split it as Terran. We'll see if we actually get to late game, though, because Rush just ended it real quick. I wonder if Noob will try and go for an aggressive build again, or if we'll kind of chillax here and just expand and try and, you know, take the side of the map.
Yeah, we'll see. We're also going to see if they scout early or late. So far, no one should have scouted yet, so we don't know yet. 12 Nexus is pretty good on this map, too. You might want to whip it out simply because if Terran doesn't scout it in time, like Rush wouldn't have last game, they can't really double expand easily. The third base is quite far away. You can't really defend both bases in one spot. So Protoss still hasn't scouted. And standard timing would be to scout a bat now. He's not going for it. He's going to go for the extra cash instead.
Alright, and I was looking in Rush's main. I actually was thinking that this could be gasless expand, but not going to be the case. It is going to be a 12 gas from him again, so just a normal opener. And that SCV this time is going to respect that there could be 12 Nexus, so he's going to send out a normal SCV scout timing.
This is still a bit late for 12 Nexus. Like, I would consider this to be an economic scout timing, to be honest. The only time you can... Well, okay, if you scout the opponent first, it's okay when you scout the second. But if you don't scout him first, it's not. But he's going to get the first scout here, so he's actually going to be able to get into the main of Protoss, despite scouting this late, and that's very nice. You can see the range or lack of range. You know, he's going to have a choice now, too, which is to either leave and come back later, and some people actually like to shift click back to the minerals so they can get into the base. Or he can stay here, get chased by the Dragoon, and make a later bunker as a result.
I've seen games where even Rush doesn't even build a bunker at all because he's able to keep the Goon back, and then of course the Goon has to respect that there could be a Vulture out in the map. So there's all types of mind games going on, and Terran just gets away with the, the absolute minimum in terms of defense. We do see that Noob went for a kind of a weird scout pattern. He goes cross, and now he's got a 50-50 shot of where to actually come from, or where to actually go with his probe, because he doesn't know where the SCV came from.
Right, yeah, he really does not know. So, one gate expansion he wants to go for. He's playing completely blindly here. Okay, so he's actually going to leave with the SCV. That's a little bit weird, considering he stayed. If you're gonna stay there... I don't know. Well, okay, actually, he's still getting chased by the Dragoons, so he's still using it a little bit to make a later bunker. I thought he was going to lose it, actually, but okay. So what you were saying is he's afraid of the Vulture counterattack, right? And I guess that's enough for Rush. Like, Rush doesn't need to be chased by the Dragoon. He just, like, knows he's put the fear of the Vulture into the Protoss heart right now.
Yeah, and there goes that vulture down to bottom middle. So the vulture is on the prowl looking for an opening. I'm looking to see what the follow-up's going to be from Rush. So far, there's only one factory. I imagine this is probably just going to be for mines. You know, if he can get some goons isolated out on the map, he can maybe pick them off as they retreat back to their main. I don't see a starport either. Not sure exactly what the follow-up's going to be, but the follow-up for Noob is going to be Robo again.
Did Rush see the Nexus start?
I don't think he saw it. I think you can obviously assume, just because these days one base doesn't work versus Terran, but yeah, technically he did not see the Nexus. I don't even know if the Vulture actually got in far enough to see the Nexus.
Yeah, I'm not sure he did, so that means he's gonna have to either play safely with faster turrets than he really wants to, or just take a risk and assume that it's there, which is probably what he's going for, as you're saying. So, this of course... Okay, he's gonna go for like an FT here, so he really has to be assuming that this is an expansion, because this is like suicide to play like this if there isn't. And he really hasn't confirmed it, but he is correctly making that choice. You know, if you don't get the scouting information, you have to take a risk, which he's doing right now, wisely.
Yep, and the Goon did back off, and that is going to be an observatory. So safe opener from Noob. Meanwhile, I still don't see any big building in Rush's main. I'm going to assume that must have been an armory then. Yep, there it is. It just now starts.
Yeah, so look at, you know, the lack of detection. Look at the lack of scouting from Rush. He's just winging it. I mean, he's up a game, so he can do this. And he's got the right read here. But this is actually quite educational, because, like, you actually have to take risks when you don't get good scouting. And he's definitely getting away with that now. Doing the correct thing without knowing it's correct, essentially. I mean, he would die to Dark Templar. He would have died to 2 Gate. Like, there's a bunch of stuff he would have died to.
Yep, and the Vulture, I thought may be able to intercept that probe as it goes to top middle, but not going to happen, and that means Noob should be able to put down his third Nexus. Goon does intercept the Vulture, but will not prevent it from actually killing that probe. So Rush gets intel that this base has already been taken.
Yeah, he scouts the third base, which is good. He of course does not stop it, which would have been insanely good. So, I mean, he's already locked himself into going at least +1. So really the only 2 things you go from here are, I mean, he could go for a +1/+1, like 2 base push, or get like massive upgrades with like 2-1, or at least 2-0. We're gonna have to see what he goes for there. I don't really believe he can push at this point. A dropship could be okay. Suck does a lot of that stuff where, you know, you basically get everything except a fast third. So you have dropships and upgrades and units. That's something you could go for.
Yeah, I think what Rush is going to wait for is he's going to scan and see exactly what Protoss is doing and make a decision whether he wants to just expand himself or go for a 7-fact timing. Because I know that is a strong build and he does it quite often. He's very good with it too. He's also got good econ. He's had his, you know, his nat equal in timing for the versus the Protoss, so he's fine in that sense. I still don't see Gateway Flood for Noob. I don't think we've had Reaver Tech either or anything like that, so he hasn't done anything. Okay,
there it is. Okay. Yeah, so the Reaver is just, it's keeping Protoss very safe here. If Terran ever moves out, the Reaver counterattacks. It also delays the third. Like, Terran doesn't even try to take a fast third because the shuttle, it just shuts it down so hard. But 2 more factories being added now. And this is about the time when we should see a starport if we want to get +2, right? And we don't see that yet, so...
Yeah,
I wonder what this is going to be.
This has to be like a 5 or 6 fact, because like you said, starport, it should have been done by now. We should have already been going into our science facility, unless that's building up... No, those are factories. Those are definitely factories. You can tell by how they look.
Okay. So this is indeed going to be like a +1 going into +1/+1 with armor and attack. A 2 base push. And at this point, like, Protoss sees it coming. He had an observer in it, didn't he? Yeah, there we go. So he should know what this is.
Thing is he sees the 4 fact. I don't think he saw the 2 factories on the right side, so I'm not even sure if he knows what this is.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. There could be like a hidden starport, but behind the turrets, with only 4 factories. That could be a thing. But what I'm worried about here is like when you're doing a 2-base push like this, you of course want to establish a position far forward that Protoss has to run into. Like you basically want to. Oh my days! He's getting in here. He's accomplishing what the dropship accomplishes without a dropship right now. This is usually what you have a dropship for, where it's like Protoss walls off, use the wall against them. Do we have the Reaver in the base of the tower at the same time? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, he's gonna try and Zealot Bomb on top of that season. So I still don't think Noob realizes top middle reach.
Yeah, you don't assume that, you know. Okay, there we go. So that's a lot of probe kills, though. That's pretty sweet from Terran right there. Yeah, that is so hard to do, actually. That's I gotta practice that.
Okay, well, Noob's just trying to engage on these siege
I don't know about this, dude.
Yeah, that's not gonna go well. And you know what Noob has not been doing? Look at Noob's main. I don't know about you, but I don't think 3 gates beat 6 factories. What do you think?
I indeed do not think it does do that. So I think... Okay, what I was saying earlier is like, it's not easy to push forward when Protoss is delaying you the whole way. But if Protoss just suicides into your tanks, then you can kind of just walk across the map and push however far you want. So this is the path he's taking, apparently. And I mean, this is pretty sweet, actually. He gets to expand at the same time as he threatens Protoss. Okay. Gonna have a counterattack attempt here, but there's a bunker in the natural, so that's not really an issue for Karen.
Yeah, this was a misread from Noob. He's just now starting to build gateways. I don't even know if he has a citadel, so Zealots aren't even going to be great. He's going to have to rely purely on Reaver Dragoon. Now, if he could have gotten some shots into the middle of those vultures, that could have been game-changing, but he doesn't get that much damage done. We've got a Goon counterattack trying to prevent reinforcements.
Yeah. So preventing reinforcements is good. He, of course, can't hurt the base, but yeah, I was about to say there's no anti-air here. No Goliaths, no raids. Just now gets a turret up, so... Zealot bombs are, of course, a factor.
Yeah, those Zealot bombs are actually not bad. He got 2 tanks. These goons are still alive. Actually pulling SCVs off the line. If Goon can, or if Noob can somehow stabilize this, his army and save this base, he's actually in an okay position. But Rush is so close to the natural. You got to imagine that this has to be busted.
Yeah, what he needed to do, and this may not even have worked, but his best shot was to cut off reinforcements, as he was doing, to force Terran to not reinforce. Then actually fight both Dragoon forces to crush the isolated army, and instead he's just kind of sending in half his army first and the other half.
There's the GG, so well done from Rush. He wins 2-0, which means he's going to get out of this group in first place. But of course, Noob not out of it just yet. He'll be waiting in the Deciders match. But yeah, Noob... Man, just unlucky, like, to get your Robo scouted the first game and then to have that Vulture sneak in at the top. Like, really? I'd be thinking it's just not my day today.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think he got tilted, honestly, when he noticed that a Vulture got past his pile on the wall. Like, what? But now he's got to play Zerg again, and he did play very well against Soma, so there's still hope for him, for sure.
Yep, there's definitely some hope for him. We could potentially get a rematch between those two, but before we get into potentially that rematch, we've got to get into our losers match, which is going to be Soma versus Yoon. So that's going to be a ZVZ, and admittedly, I don't watch ZVZ that often, so I have no idea of playstyles from Yoon and Soma. You know, you can assume, of course, it's Muta Ling, obviously, but does either one of these players favor, going Evolution Chamber style? I have no idea.
Yeah, Yoon is not as known to me, or I think to the general public, so we're gonna see what he goes for here. Gonna get the scout advantage is Yoon at the top left, which is nice. It's I think a bit overstated how big of a deal that is, but it's definitely nice to have. You can see if the opponent is expanding or whatever, what have you.
Yep, and we do have Soma at top right going the wrong direction. Our map again is Vermeer, so it's a normal standard map. And we're really just waiting to see what initial build orders are, because ZVZ has so many pool timings, specifically 9 pool over gas, 12 pool. You can see like so many variations.
Yeah, even like over gas is a fun one. It's like the same as another build, but you get like more gas. You get like 1 extra pair of Scourge, and like that's your whole thing. Like you're gonna get 1 more pair of Scourge when you finally get the Mutas. But at this point, yeah, we're gonna see a gas first for Yoon.
Well, this looks like
Gas
it is going to be the
before
overgas. And there we go. This is going to be overpool, I guess.
Yeah,
This
so
was
overpool into gas from Soma, and really over gas into pool from Yoon.
Yeah, this was a very weird. I guess maybe since I don't play ZVZ, you know, maybe I'm tripping here, but that pool and gas timing from Soma looked extremely quick. Like in comparison to the overgas that we know Yoon is going for, it almost seems like it's identical. I don't even think Yoon is going to get much of a gas advantage. Yeah, look, it's like 16. That's nothing.
Yeah, it's really not. So both players going for the over. I mean, I guess you could call it overpool into gas. If you were gonna do like a true overgas, you would have to get the gas a little bit earlier than this. As you were saying, it's barely anything at all. So basically an overpool into gas mirror here. And I have to imagine, yeah, layer first instead of speed first when you do a build order like this.
What's funny about this is even though Yoon got the faster gas, he's got the later layer, right?
Yeah.
And Yoon actually has one additional drone. That's a big deal in ZVZ. It's going to give him a lot of money over time.
Yeah, he did sneak in an extra drone. And of course, you're limited by the amount of larva you can produce. But what you're going for with an early drone like that is, over time, your money will build up so that you can make another hatchery, either in your main or in your expansion.
Right, well, we do have 4 lings built from both players. More lings being built, obviously. We'll see if anybody wants to get sneaky here and hide a ling. It doesn't seem like Yoon is going to try and hide anything. Oh, Soma
This is just
almost...
a scout from Soma.
Yeah.
Runs into a lot of links, has to fall back. But I want to point out that Yoon actually delayed his spawning pool so that he could mine more minerals with that drone. You know, like when Terran gets the gas and barracks at the same time? It's the same idea. You're getting more cash, and that's why he has that early macro hatchery on the way right now.
Yeah, he's going to have a big larva advantage. His spire is going to be slightly later, but not that much later. Not so much that he's got to worry about mutas being in his base before mutas pop out for himself. So overall, this looks like a really good build order to me in favor of Yoon.
Yeah, Yoon is doing a more inspired build order here. You know, with the late pool, the extra drone he snuck in. You know, it's allowing him to get this extra macro hatch, and Soma really doesn't have money to even make a hatchery right now.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to build one for a long time, and we may just have actually Yoon win this game because he'll just have so much larva available to him, whereas Soma's going to have to try and balance the amount of mutas and lings he builds. Now, that's going to be really tough to do on one hatch production. Oh,
yeah, it's interesting to me how they basically both went overpool, one base layer, and already Yoon just came by coming up with like a better build essentially. So the one thing he's got, I guess, against him is his opponent is expanding, but Yoon really could have chosen to expand himself. He just chose to make it in his main instead, which to me says that he wants it so that if the opponent does like a ling flood, because remember he well, actually, I mean, he did scout his opponent, so I don't know, but it makes it so that if the opponent ling floods, you don't have to match that, and you can make, you know, a lot of mutalisks anyway, because, like, right here, he's holding the choke point, right? Whereas if you take the expansion, you have to respect the ling flood, and sometimes you can actually get locked out of making mutalisks when you want to make them, because you have to make links of your own.
Well, we've the ling dance going on right now, and something that I did notice was Yoon actually has about 200 more gas than Soma, because I think Yoon skipped speed, and he also put a third drone onto gas pretty quickly. So he's going to be able to potentially overrun Soma here, unless Soma is careful. Look at the supply. It's already a 4 supply lead, which is massive in ZVZ.
Okay, so now at this point, see how they don't really have a lot of vision on the map, obviously, right? That means one player can actually just sneak past the enemy and go for drones. He goes for this Mutalisk instead, which is also a good pick-off. And now, okay, Soma realizes he's been caught out of position, and he's just counterattacking, so we have a base trade scenario right here.
And Soma does have more lanes, so this could be a bit wild. Also, the lanes are already here. There's flat out more DPS for Soma now. And if we do get into a base trade scenario, Yoon will lose the fight. And look at this, he's having to run back to try and save his main, but he's way out of position. The Spire's gonna die.
He's gonna lose the Spire. Now, I'm assuming he killed a lot of drones. I actually didn't see exactly how many he killed, but I think the play would have been to kill every drone, then go home, because you do have that superior army, right? Maybe he doesn't know he did have that. We, of course, can tell that he had better units. Okay, the Scourge chasing the Mutalisks, and it doesn't look like those are enough Mutas to actually one-shot the Scourge, even with perfect Chinese Triangle micro, so... Eventually, at some point, the superior army of... Okay, good micro so far.
Wow, that was crazy, Micro. He
Damn.
didn't take any damage, and the Ling counterattack of Soma into Yoon's main actually did not work, and now we're just gonna have a big Muta versus Muta fight, and if Yoon controls this, he should be able to take this game.
It looks like he's got more. I can't quite tell, but... okay, so... Neither player really getting to land that many Scourge.
Yeah,
Using the Scourge to scare off the enemy Mutas while you chase them down with moving shots.
There's still so many Scourge left over for Yoon, though, but Soma's micro is crazy. There's only 3 left over, though. I think Yoon's done it. Those Mutas are heavily damaged. He's knocking them down. Oh, another Scourge connected. Actually, did Soma do it? He's got 3 left over versus 0.
Yeah, fighting in Soma's base made it so that his reinforcement Scourge could come out. And he also had amazing micro right there, so... He did it, man.
He did do it. That was absolutely sick micro. And these Lings... they're obviously not useless, but they don't even have speed, so they can't even run by and deal damage.
Dude, can Zerg players tell how many Mutas are in a stack? Because I couldn't tell if he had enough to one-shot the Scourge there when he was running.
Yeah.
I guess you gotta look at the thickness of the shadow or something, right?
I guess so. I agree. I thought Soma didn't have as many as he did, and maybe it was Yoon that didn't have as many as I thought he did. And now, Soma, he's in the driver's seat. He's actually mining his main decently. He's got gas coming in, whereas, oh my god, I didn't even realize there's a Muta just killing everything.
Yeah, that's such a great play, dude. Sending one Muta to attack and defending with the rest of them, so that you don't die to a Link counterattack.
Well, Scourge are gonna pop out, but Mutas are saying goodbye, I'm out of there, and this game is done. Unless these Lings in the game, which we know that's just not gonna happen. The drones can just transfer to the natural and survive.
Yeah, I mean, he can lose every drone to win because he has Mutalisks and the opponent has Link, so then all you do is, you just haunt the Links down and then you win the game, essentially. So just don't lose the base trade and you should win here. And he's going home to defend with the Mutalisks.
Yeah, Mutas are coming back. Hatched eyes. You can see the DPS of the Lings are obviously crazy, but they can't hit air, so there's the GG, and that means Soma, he will go up 1-0 in the series.
It was really... Damn, that's interesting. Like, Yoon had a better build order, but Soma had better tactics when the fighting started, you know? He was more clutch, more decisive unit movements. Even though Yoon actually got the initiative by sneaking past the enemy, catching a Mutalisk out of position, and then potentially getting, the drone attack. Like, it's a classic way to win in this matchup, where you just sneak some Mutalisks in, past the enemy lines, and you kill all the drones, right? And he had the opportunity to go for that. But even though he got the initiative first, Soma just was better at that part of the game. Was more decisive, had better micro.
He just flat out played it better, so well done from him, and now he's 1 game away from moving into the deciders match versus Noob. I think Yoon, before this group started, I didn't know what to think exactly, but he's clearly got the talent for sure. Like, this was a very close game. He definitely could have done it, so maybe he can strike back in game 2. We've got horizontal spawns again, and this time around, Soma, he's gonna have the scout advantage.
Yes, he is. That he is. So this is not a map where you can make a hatch on the ramp and mine gas, which means the map kind of doesn't matter in this matchup. As far as 4-player maps go, like, they're all pretty much the same if you can't do that. We're gonna have to see the build orders again. I'm really gonna be looking for these build orders because Yoon went for an amazing build order last game. He was so far ahead only because his build order was more clever, more innovative, more inspired, more optimized, They basically did the same build, except his was a better version of it.
If he went and watched the replay and saw how ahead he was, especially in gas, I think he should consider just doing it back-to-back. Because it's still likely that Soma's going to go for a pool first build in general. Like, 12 hatch is not, mega common, and we do have actually a mix-up here from both sides. It's going to be 9 pool.
Yeah, so pool first, not overload first. Now at this point, Most likely we'll see a gas. I mean, 9-pool expansion. You could do it, I suppose, but I don't think that's very good for various reasons. So a gas coming down from Yoon. From Soma, we don't have it yet. There we go, a little bit later. So getting a little bit more cash by keeping that drone a little bit longer is going to give him like a faster macro hatch if he chooses to go for that later.
But basically, mirrored builds again.
Yeah, basically.
But Soma, with the scout advantage, will be able to respond, you know, a little bit better. He may be able to skip a couple lings if he wants to, hold his ramp similar to what Yoon did last game. And we do have both players starting to mine gas.
So now, will they go lair or speed? Most commonly, people go 9-pool lair. 9-pool speed is rare. But if we see that, I'll talk about what that does, but most likely we won't see it. So taking one drone off gas here is Yoon. Knowing he doesn't even have enough drones to support 3 on gas. And with a lair for both players.
It's just like looking in the mirror, man. Literally everything is identical. It's even 6 lings this time from both sides, whereas last game it was 4 lings. And Soma, he knows where Zerg is. Well, I guess both players know where they are. Will anybody branch off lings? And this time around, it is going to be Soma that's going to hide a couple lings.
Yeah, so if your opponent, of course, commits everything to the front, you could counterattack. He also, I mean, he's scouting with these. Like, he's trying to find the opposing main, even.
I like what Soma did was he branched off 2, so now Yoon doesn't know whether it was a 9-pool or an overpool or anything. This looks like it was just a somewhat later pool from Soma.
So this could be, I mean, considering your opponent doesn't have an overlord in your main base, from his perspective, it could be like an overpool, a 12 pool in base macro hatch or something like that, you know. But the links in the middle of the map are not going to get the counterattack because Yoon is pulling his links back.
Yep, both players just going to hold their ramp for now. Yoon is up 1 drone at the moment. And we should have spires going down from both sides. Yep, there they go. However, now Yoon is up 2 workers. Okay, never mind. Back down to 1. Someone really going to attack with this? He doesn't have speed, I don't think.
It's got to be on the way if he's moving like this. Because if your opponent gets speed and you're out on the map, you just lose the game, dude.
Well, he's got, I think, at least 2 additional lings over Yoon right now. He may be able to actually bust through. Last game, he tried to knock down a couple lings, but Yoon had good micro. Oh, speed kicks in, and actually, Yoon said see you later.
They just snap fast. But does he have enough on the front, on the ramp here? I'm not sure he does, to be honest. That's a little bit scary.
Yeah, we're going to have a micro battle, and it's going to be hard to micro your ramp while also trying to counterattack with these 2 lings.
Okay, now he's got enough. 2 more links arrive, and he's actually trying to break out. Being unable to do so, he now knows because his links reach the enemy base. Actually, no. I think trying to break out of that backfired, and he's just going to die right now. More links coming out, okay, so I guess he's going to survive for now, but he does have links in his base. Or is he even? I'm not sure. No.
Oh, he banked up Larva because he wanted to build Mutas, and now there's 5 lings versus 2. Drones are going to have to be pulled.
It seems like when he saw the opposing expansion from Soma, it triggered him to want to go down the ramp, but of course you don't really want to go down the ramp anymore than he wants to go up it. It's a choke point that favors the defender.
Yeah, and now he's not mining with half his drones. These 2 lings really haven't disrupted the mining at all, and Soma's going to be up a hatchery while also having similar muta count. If he can pop some of the drones, that'd be great. That's the first one he got, though.
Okay, so, yeah, getting 1 drone there, I mean, at this point, it's not only 1 base versus about to be 2 base if he ever makes drones, but it's also 2 hatch versus 1 hatch.
Well, this is a good move from Mierin. He made fly block Soma. 100 minerals is a big deal in ZVZ. 2v2 right now. Make that 3v2 in favor of Yoon in terms of mutas. Actually 3v3 now.
Okay, so no control block or supply block, I guess. As most people call it, coming out so far. But having that extra hatchery, over time, it's just way better, dude.
Yeah, it is. And we have a lot of Scourge with this army. Actually, there's a lot of Mutalists for Yoon, so Soma's gonna have to turn around. I don't think Yoon's gonna be able to win that battle. Also picks off a couple lings. That's a good start for Yoon. Wow, that's so many Scourge now.
That is indeed a bunch of Scourge, and he's being aggressive here. Even though he's got the hatchery advantage, he doesn't want to let go. Using the Scourge to force the enemy to run back while you chase him down. Actually, impressive micro for you to do as well as he did, but still, it's a little bit too much for Soma, who also micro very well right there.
Yeah, that moving shot with the mutas while also, you know, attacking with the Scourge was very impressive from Soma. Sometimes, well not sometimes, most of the times when I see players using mutas plus Scourge, the Scourge are just like move commanded with the mutas and they don't really do anything, but Soma was able to control both.
Yeah, I think the way he was doing that actually is that he had them on the same hotkey, which makes it sort of when you're microing your mutalisks, the Scourge are also approaching the enemy. And then most likely he had the Scourge on two hotkeys, one with the mutas, one on their own, so that if you were ever to catch them, he could, you know, aim move with the Scourge group.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he had a lot of connections there. And I thought actually Yoon might win that battle because he had pure mutalist, but not the case. And unfortunately, losing that game means he is knocked out. So that's a bit of a disappointment there for him. But he had good build orders overall. But we're going to be going into Soma versus Noob now. So this is going to be a rematch from our first series. And Noob looked really strong in the first series, so maybe he can do it again.
Yeah, can he do it again, or is Soma warmed up now, you know?
Yeah.
Beating Yoon, we'll see.
He took out his anger on Yoon, just obliterating him with the Mutamicro. Now he's about to take out his anger on Noob, back on Vermeer again.
Indeed, so we're back on Vermeer, and we have the positions. Well, actually, if you're playing Zerg against Product, you can scout however you wish. Most of the time, Zergs do scout like this, though, because if Protoss expands, you get to see it earlier. So it's considered a little bit better, but it's not like you have to scout in this direction. In fact, some Zergs will scout in both directions with Overlord. So they'll send their first Overlord to a main and their second Overlord to a natural. But actually, what is this, though? Proxy 2-gate?
This looks like it's going to be Proxy 2-gate. Vermeer is one of the few maps where you actually have buildable terrain, and you know this is not a common build. Like I can't even remember the last time Zerg even scouted the middle, so this could be a very good build order.
This is basically kind of a bad build, except a lot of times Zerg will not drone scout and only make like 4 to 6 links, and because they didn't drone scout, they don't know this is happening until it's too late. Like, a lot of the time, Zergs do that, so that's why this is never gonna be obsolete, this kind of play. It's always gonna have a chance to work as long as Zergs are greedy and don't scout and only make 6 links.
Yep, and Soma, he is being greedy. It's gonna be a 12 hatch, and this is a really hard build to stop, especially, now I could be trolling here, but in the olden days, the really olden days, people would even build batteries with this and just try and end the game outright with the 2-gate. Like, it's not just enough to pressure the natural and, you know, force out a lot of lings. They just actually want to end the game. Okay, what is this?
Okay, so obviously this is great for Protoss. Why is Zerg doing this, though? Well, you see, when you're going 12 hatch, at this point, a probe would show up soon and block your natural, so you just take your you know, third preemptively so you don't get probe blocked. But of course, you don't really want to expand like this against Proxy 2-gate, unfortunately.
When you were gonna tell me why Zerg was doing this, I thought you were gonna say it's the Soma nonsense, right? It's just a random hatchery at a third base. You know what's funny is if Protoss goes to scout bottom right and doesn't see the hatchery, make me confused. Like, where are you, dude?
Yeah, so that's another thing it can do. Of course, at this point, unfortunately, well, I mean, at least he's drone scouting, but rather late and not in the middle, so... man, I don't know. I mean, usually what you would do with this is you would make a sunken in your main and counterattack the Protoss. That's like a normal play people do with 12 hatch. I don't know, man. Is he gonna make a third hatch right here? Is Protoss... Okay. You might actually want to let him do that as Protoss. I'm not sure if you even want to delay that.
Thinking the same thing. Just let him build that hatchery, man. It's like an instant cancel, instant loss of 75 minerals. Now the Overlord gets in and sees, hey, this guy's not building any probes at all, so we're mega all in. And the Sunken should die, actually.
Yeah, see how these Sunkens are coming up? If he had known about this earlier, this would have been the play, but he doesn't.
Well, actually, Soma feels like he's going to be able to hold this. The Sunken didn't get taken down. I can't believe that he just lets it actually complete.
Is it in one-shot territory, though? Because they get like 100 HP left when they finish, remember? So I think that might be almost. Yeah. Not quite one-shot, but still.
Okay, well, well, you know, because Soma has that hatch at a weird position, if Lings get into the main, there's nothing to answer it. There's not that many probes. He may also not realize that lings are in his main while he's doing all this.
Unfortunately, I mean, he has enough probes to just kind of deal with that. And he's winning. Oh my days, even making a cannon, dude.
Yeah, he must have known that, hey, there's no way you have late pool, late colonies without having a hatchery somewhere. So Noob, he's going to take game 1 versus Soma.
That he is. And yeah, as I was saying, you know, Zergs keep doing risky build orders, not drone scouting early. That's why 3-gate is always going to be a factor.
Yeah. I love seeing the old school builds actually get wins versus the modern playstyle. It was a kind of a weird placement of the hatch. The idea, I guess, was pretty good, but backfired this time around. And now, Noob, he is 1 game from sending Soma home.
Yeah, and that means he's got like a Nexus first that he could play with.
Yeah.
He can go, you know, for a risky. He can do a risky play basically, and it's not the whole world if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, you know, actually, I don't hate it if he goes for proxy gates again. You know, center of the map on Retro can be buildable, or is buildable, I mean. And oftentimes I see players when they 8 racks or 14 CC or 12 Nexus, they do it back to back. So maybe we could have it a second time in a row.
Yeah, I mean, against this hatch first, late drone scout stuff, yeah, it just kind of wins, as we saw last game. So we're gonna see what he goes for now.
Yeah, we do have cross spawns this time. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you proxy everything, though, but Soma is obviously going to have no idea of Noob spawning position, and, you know, I wonder if he'll actually cross scout this time to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, scouting the middle, it's not really... It's pretty good to do, like, especially if you're doing a build order that loses to proxy 2-gate, but's fine otherwise. It's not a bad idea to just scout the middle first.
Alright, we're not going to have any proxy shenanigans. It's just going to be normal pylon position at the natural. You know, I always have hope that we'll see a pylon in the main, but unless the player says Bonneth, that just doesn't happen either.
Yeah, look, it's looking like a Forge expansion with this early probe here. Forge expansion and or cannon rush attempt. Depending on what he sees, like, he might go for that, but not going to happen this game because we do have a pool first. So this is a safe build order. Going 9 pool, you know?
Yep, and Protoss not going to get lucky here. He's going to find Zerg in the 2nd position. And we don't have an instant gateway at the natural, so this is actually going to be Forge expand.
Yeah, or it could be Nexus first. I'm thinking that's what it is, actually. I mean, it's Nexus first into Forge. Okay, he just made a Forge, I think, on the map, so... Actually playing it safe, both players. We got the 9 pool, which is like a standard, doesn't die to anything, middle of the road build, versus a safe Forge expansion variant, even scouting with 2 probes in case it's a 4 pool.
Yep, and now he is going to see the 9 pool timing, and we'll know exactly what it is. I imagine this is just going to be 1 cannon to defend. And also, he's going to see that all the eggs got morphed at the same time, so this should be 6 lings. I can't imagine it being drones. That would be crazy.
Actually, I want to point out that there's no drone scout, which means that if we had seen a 2-gate again, it would actually have had a chance to work, because usually Zergs only make 6 lings, then they go back to drones, and if you wait until you have several zealots and then attack, that actually gives you a chance to win versus Zergs who do that. So,
yeah,
not going to be the case, though.
And actually, this is 2 cannons. He's playing mega defensive here, and also the probe ended up dying, and that's a massive win for somebody like Soma who can really mind game you very hard. So now Noob, he's going to have to probably go Sare here to kind of try and figure out what's going on, because I can't imagine him getting another probe across the map.
Yeah, losing a probe that early when there isn't even ling speed is a massive problem. If Zerg decides to do anything, and we don't have a gas. Okay, we just have the gas, so this could be Hydras or it could be standard 3H before Spire.
Then we do have Soma taking mid-left as a 3rd base and a 3rd hatch, and we were talking earlier about how just because Zerg shows something doesn't mean they have to actually go that. They can just drone behind that. And when I was talking about that, this was actually the map that I was referencing. There was a game of, I think, Soma versus Best on here, where Soma just powered to oblivion, and then all of a sudden I looked at supply, and he was at 170, and Best was also at like 150. He was actually up in supply. I couldn't believe it. So Noob needs to be very careful, because if he just lets Soma get away with murder with these 3 bases, it's going to be really hard to match the macro.
Yeah, and he's so blind, losing that probe early. It's such a huge problem. So at this point, like, he kind of has to guess, man. And he loses if he doesn't guess correctly.
Yeah, we've got the cybernetics coming in. Gateway is done. No zealots out just yet, but Soma, after this 9 pool, has not built any additional links. He is just powering up his econ. I think Lair started already for him, so he's going to be able to build his Spire pretty soon. Yeah,
it's looking so far like a standard 3-hatch Spire into 5-hatch, but he could still go for Mutalisks if he takes a gas, like, soon. That's an option. But, like, if you play standard and Protoss guesses you play standard, it's fine, nothing happens. But if Protoss guesses you're gonna attack somehow, you of course just win by playing standard.
Okay, we've got the Stargate coming down. You knew it had to be coming because he has absolutely no intel. It would be suicide to go Citadel and just pray that this guy went Hydras. Zealot move out on both sides, but the Lynx see both of them move out. One of them actually gonna get to the center of the map, but I'm sure Soma will deal with it in the next few seconds.
Yeah, so at this point, it feels good from a Protoss perspective, because you made it past like where several all-ins could have hit you because you lost your probe, and you're getting to scout again. So it's turning into a normal game at this point.
Yep, and 2 Zealots are going to push back these Lings. This one Zealot that got across the map is going to be intercepted by Lings. However, that's a tanky boy. He may actually get all the way to the natural, and he doesn't see anything. So he should know that there's definitely no Hydras, and you can probably determine that this has to be Spired by now.
The main purpose of the Zealot is to scout, and it did do some pretty good scouting. So he should know at this point that he's not about to get attacked. He saw a lot of drones, and this is pretty interesting, actually getting 2 Zealots here. While the first one was getting chased, these 2 were sneaking in here. Getting even more scouting, and of course denying some mining time.
Yeah, I am getting a bit worried though, because like I was saying, Soma, he will power really hard when he knows he can't be breached, and that's exactly what we're seeing here, because he's already got good saturation in his main, natural, and third base. Now that Zealot positioning was really good, but still, they're going to both fall there, and that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure. To lose 3 Zealots that early is a big deal. Didn't you see how many drones were at the natural?
Yeah, this is, that's a lot of drones right there. And, I mean, he knows he can do it right now, you know? So he's got to be, like, even on workers, maybe even ahead at this point. But on more bases. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, this is crazy econ for Zerg right now. We've got gateways coming in for Protoss. It's only maybe 4 right now. We've got the +1 weapon upgrade on the cybernetics. The first Zare, I think, is already out and scouting, but Scourge should be out too. I think actually he's about to lose his Corsair in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wow, he actually saved it for now, at least.
Not even getting an Overlord, dude. not even getting any scouting. Like, damn.
Yep, but he has done a good job to at least maybe save this Corsair. Soma doing a really good job to try and prevent it from getting to safety.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see some insane jukes right here. And of course, Soma demonstrated in that ZVZ earlier that he doesn't just right-click stuff. With Scourge. He actually micros, and that means you cannot do Chinese triangle. Like, you cannot make them move away from you.
Oh, he might have done it. Oh, I thought he was going to get away. Nope, not the case. The Zealots are moving out at the same time. Wow, Speed's already done. I didn't even see the Citadel be built. But
yeah, we haven't seen what the Zerg did. Like, does he have Sunkens? We actually don't know. We haven't gotten... Okay, Corsair goes down. We haven't gotten a shot of the Zerg base, so we don't know what he has. Could be Mutalisks to stop this. Could be Sunkens. Okay, 1 Sunken on the natural.
Well, you saw drones get transferred to the main, so it seems like really also has these drones, but it doesn't matter, because look at that Sim City. First couple mutas are going to pop out, and these Zealots aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's like double. You have the Sunken, which is enough, and then he also gets mutas. to just really make sure these cells can't even get home. Running into the main now, which is really a desperate move, is not going to accomplish too much. He can just control those drones away, which is really
He will just save his drone the other way, like you said. Zealots are all going to get taken out. This is a ton of drones. Like, this is an absurd amount of drones. But it's okay because he's not taking damage. Like, he's just defending everything with Midas. And Noob, I don't see him building up his gateway count. I don't see him taking a third base. So he's kind of all in with this.
Yeah, he's gonna get a pool, I suppose, but so much is making drones anyway, so he doesn't really care about that.
Yeah, he did get the Spire, but unless you think you're gonna get overrun by Corsairs, does it even matter? Like, he can just build 1,000,000 Hydras now to defend his Overlords if he has to.
Yeah, so at this point, will he go for a Lurker containment, or will he take a 4th? That's really like his main choice. We're gonna have a counter-attack here with the Muta Scourge, and so hopefully there are, several cannons, or at least one with Corsairs to stop that. If not, this can just kill. Actually, he might just die to this, look.
Yeah, he might. It is double Stargate, but the Corsair count is... Oh, actually, it's really high. What's that, 6? Okay.
Okay, so he was lying in wait. So he's... Oh, yeah, because he went to double. Okay, see those 2 Stargates?
Yeah.
He didn't get a shot at the Proto Space for a while, but there's a build where you flood with Zealots, and then you get a second Stargate to make up for that. But both cannons going down. So does he know about the second Stargate, I wonder? Because if he doesn't, this could actually be a way back for Protoss.
Well, it might be, but I think that Zerg is fine. Just builds mass Hydras. He can even build Spore Colonies. I think the threat of the Corsairs, well, maybe not. Like, that's a lot of Zealots moving out right now. There's not that much defense.
He's got one shot here, which is like to make Zerg move all the Hydras to a spot to stop the Zealots, and then kill like every single Overlord in a clump. Like, that's what he's looking for right now.
Yeah, and those Overlords right there are very clumped. It's 5 of them. If he could get that group right there, maybe he can just constantly reinforce.
Okay, he's gonna go for another thing, which is like, I think, well, no, okay, I'm not sure. He's gonna have to do something now, because time is running out. One thing you can do is, if you attack with everything at once, in one spot, then Zerg has to deal with the Zealots on the ground, while the Corsairs kill the Overlords. And I guess he's going for that here, but I don't know, time is running out for him.
This isn't gonna work. There's way too many Hydras in a good position. He's still focusing down that hatchery, but I don't know how many Zealots he lost for that. The Mutas are meanwhile dealing damage into the main. That's a Templar Archive finishing at 11 minutes. Yeah. So there's no way that there's Storm anytime soon. I think Soma could just probably counterattack and win.
Yeah, he's winning with him. Well, I mean, the Mutas did a lot of damage even. At this point, yes, since you were saying there is no Storm, can't the Hydras actually just win the game? I think they can.
I think they're going to. That is a lot of Zealots on the right side, and the Hydras are kind of split up, so maybe it won't.
Oh, he's getting us surround there, actually.
Yeah, this is a really good trade, but there's still a lot of Hydras just at the natural right now. He's going to knock down the Forge, maybe?
Yeah, so half of the army came from the natural, the other half from the third. And, Okay.
If he found that, that could be game-changing, but he doesn't find it.
He doesn't. I think, honestly... Okay, so that's not for drops. That's to keep them alive. Because, I mean, when you send all of your Hydras to attack, a classic move from Protoss is to counterattack with Corsairs, because you no longer defend your Hydralisks, I mean, your Overlords with the Hydralisks. So I guess he just left his base. Like, look, there are Corsairs in the Zerg base hunting, but there are no Overlords anywhere. They all left.
Yeah. Protoss upgrades are pretty darn good, too. They're 1-1 right now. Zerg has +1 weapon himself, so he's not lacking in upgrades either. But the thing I'm most worried about is every time I look at the supply, Zerg is ahead in supply. And those Corsairs, while they're great versus Overlords, they don't help you versus Hydras. But he finds the group, but these... Oh, actually, the Overlords don't have +1 armor. I'm surprised.
Okay, that was such an impressive move. I gotta talk about that, how he sent all the Overlords out to hide when he left with the Hydras. Because if you do that in a normal game and there's an invisible man, you're dead. But in this game, the Templar Archives were late. So it was the perfect move, actually, and it saved all of this. Like, the Corsairs did try to counterattack. They were looking for that passive maneuver, but the Overlords all left, so they couldn't do it.
He's got Storm energy now. He's got the 75 energy. That's a decent one. He lost all of his zealots, though, to buy time for that, so I don't think 4 storms can save the game. And even if it
there's
does...
a lurker containment even. So even if he survives
Oh,
there...
DT!
Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's an invisible man right there. 2 even. Oh, okay, 3? Alright.
Wow, this game's getting wild. When I see 3 DTs, I'm thinking this is mini levels of harassment right here. He's gonna try and... No, he's focusing down the lane!
Yeah, he's getting the hatcheries, dude. I mean, okay, this... If he wins right here, he's a goddamn legend. Coming back from this game.
He's got to win here because the contain is massive. You're not getting out of this contain as Protoss. Like, that's not happening. So he needs to win here.
Yeah, is he gonna get the lair? I don't see an overload right here, dude.
He might get it, but is the lair that important? Like, Zerg just has another base now.
Yeah, he didn't lose that many drones, did he? He lost a fair amount of drones, but okay. So, at this point, we still have a lurker containment, no observer, and I think Zerg still has a decent amount of drones, so unfortunately, it's just not enough.
Yeah, I don't see how this can possibly be enough for Noob to get back into the game. I did notice he did ramp up his gateway count, but there's no goons. The Zealots all got absolutely crushed by the Hydras. They can't even move out right now. I just don't know how you bust out of this. How many lurkers is that? Like 10?
That is way too many, considering there's not even an observer. So
Now he's building even more, and Soma, now that he knows that he's dealt with all the pressure, he's now starting to resaturate those bases. He's transferring drones to top middle, so what was 3 base Zerg is now going to be 4 base Zerg in a second.
And the thing is, the first observer is probably going to get sniped anyway, so... you know.
Yeah. And what makes this even more worrisome is we're 15 minutes into the game. We're starting to reach the moments where Protoss is going to be mined out. So he's got about 2 minutes, and if he does not get out, this game ends just simply because he will have no more money.
Yeah, it's looking like Soma just wants to sit there until Protoss mines out, which is a great style to go for. You know, why attack when you don't have to, right?
Yeah, I've heard sitting in an arc is pretty good. Especially when you're sitting in an arc in a tiny choke like this.
Yeah, lurker arcs, dude, are very sittable in all game. That's for damn sure against Protoss. I mean, that's actually an old style that back when this was an imbalance matchup before Bisu, this was like actually impossible to stop. Of course, now it's more of a way to capitalize on being ahead, right?
Yeah.
In a game like this.
Well, this is going to be the one and only stand that Noob has. He's got a lot of goons, but the problem is look how tiny the choke is. He can never get a good arc in his favor. He can never get the zealots also with the goons. He's just going to have to try and bully through here with storms and goons. Yeah, those were good, but is there enough? I don't think so.
I mean, the storm dodge was good by baiting it out. Like running forward with enough units to provoke a storm, but not enough units that the storm is really worth it, you know? And then getting out of the way.
The observer got picked off immediately, like you were saying, and that buys so much time to get even more lurkers up. Now we have another engagement here. The observer is still alive.
That's a good micro. That's a lot of storm, though, unfortunately, to be used. I think we have enough lurkers still.
Yep. The zealots come out, which are just going to get mowed down by these billions of lurkers. Archon actually survived somehow. Actually, if Noob goes right now, that's a decent amount of goons left over.
Yeah, this is what you want to see as Protoss. You want to see exposed lurkers with no support. And he's gonna go ahead and get on top of them, which is like pretty good. He's gonna get out. Does he have any money in his name at this point? I have to question if he's not on one base. Yeah, it is.
Wow, they thought he might be able to bust that, and it still wasn't enough. So well done. Soma strikes back in game 2 and ties up the series. Man, these are some wild games. The DT follow-up, I thought, wow, did Noob really actually strike back? But Lurker contained just too massive, and now we're going to be going into the final game of the series, which is going to be Polypoid. So let's just get right into game 3 and find out who's going to be our second player making it out of Group H.
Okay, and it's gonna be cross positions on Polypoint with Soma in the bottom right and Noob in the top left. And top left is a position that you can wall off very tightly at. You can actually make like a tiny gap that you can close with just one unit. And that actually allows for you to do one cannon, or otherwise you might have to do two. It allows for you to do stuff like Forge Nexus Cannon and not die to Overpool, or even 9 pool because of the tiny gap. So, just like how Terran can, you know, do better walls on some positions than others, Protoss can also do that, and this is one of the best positions to wall on.
Alright, well, I'm sure Noob is aware of all that, and we'll see if he actually does go for a little bit of a greedy Nexus build. So far, we do have the low ground pylon, and he's going to be mining that mineral patch. And a lot of times I see probe. Nope. I was going to say a lot of times I see the probe just mine that and instantly come back to the pylon and build a gateway, but not going to be the case, at least this time around.
I do expect there to be a gateway here, because he's not scouting with it early. So this is either like a 12 Nexus, I'm not even going to scout at all, or there's going to be a gateway. And okay, we did just see the gateway right there. And he's scouting right now, so even though he's going gateway expansion, you know, the superior wall potential on this spot could come into play.
But we do have, what was this, overpool from Soma? So again, another early pool opener from him, not going to go for 12 hatch or anything like that. Probe is not going to get a lucky scout off and find Zerg first.
Okay, so at this point, we are on track for the ability of the probe to get into the main. And that's good. You know, you really need to have that probe, but this time he can't lose it. He's got to keep it right there. I actually think last game, I suspect that he had to play a little bit too safe, like making 2 cannons instead of 1, because he lost that probe already. And I think it slowed everything down, and it thinks it's kind of snowballed out of control from there. But here we go. First probe gonna get in here. And see that there's really no gas yet. And when there's no gas, you should not lose your probe early, because there is no link speed. Seeing only 2 links also, that's pretty huge. That means he could actually skip cannon. Skip Forge, and go for like a really early Nexus now if he wants to. He could even, if he wants to get crazy, get gas and Cybercore before Forge. He could go for that, because he sees there are only 2 links, and they're chasing his probe right now.
I would love to see that, just a really massively streamlined build versus what Soma's doing. Again, we're going to have Soma take a close third base. It's going to be right at bottom middle. And the drone, he actually sent a drone out to scout this time, because I guess he was suspecting that this could be an aggressive opener. And he does catch and see that it is just Gateway Nexus.
Yeah, so 1 gate expansion. Something you can do with that is, like, it allows you to get faster tech if you want to. Since you already have the gate, we can get the fast core. You could actually get like a Corsair mega early and even kill several Overlords. We still have no gas for Zerg. He actually chooses to leave with his probe, which is interesting to me. Choosing instead to prioritize expansion scouting over, you know, checking the gas time with Zerg. I guess he's thinking that since there's no gas for this long, I have nothing to fear anyway, I might as well leave.
Yeah, and he does confirm the hatchery at bottom middle. Also, this was like a 310 gas from Soma. This was pretty slow, actually. I guess he's going to be powering like he just did last game. Forge coming down. I didn't see the cybernetics in the main, though. So this is actually a lot of zealots before any tech and also before the Forge. And here he goes, he's moving out.
Yeah, and this is going to scout and force several Zerglings. So, leaving with the probe makes sense now, considering that he's basically scouting with these zealots now anyway, right? While forcing links at the same time. But I have to give a slight edge to Protoss in this game. You know, assuming, and we haven't seen his base for a while, but I have to imagine a cybernetics core is a little bit earlier than the lair. And I always think that, like, if the cyber core starts at the same time as the lair, then it's pretty much even. But if one starts before the other, that races ahead. And I do believe that Protoss started the core a little bit before the lair. So here come the zealots here holding the ramp. No, actually choosing to go in instead. That's going to lead them open to maybe a surround maneuver from the Zerg.
Yeah, Zerg went for speed first, and it hasn't kicked in just yet. That was a really good retreat to the ramp. You definitely want to take that engagement as Protoss if you can. Probe is still alive, which will pack a lot of punch also. That's a lot of lings to build as Zerg.
Yeah, that is indeed a lot of Zerglings, and he's gonna have to send a few of them around to surround this army now, but, you know, Protoss got a lot of scouting information. Okay, he's actually gonna go in now. No, okay, I thought he was. He moved his units there.
I thought he might actually go for a counterattack because there's no cannons there, but instead he's going to go for the full 360 surround, and this army is just going to get wiped off the map.
Yeah, so finally getting dealt with, and it always looks like Protoss accomplished nothing when they did this, but you have to do it to scout. I mean, I guess he didn't have to because he had the probe, so in this case he didn't have to do it to scout, but he did force a lot of links. So I have to say that was not bad for Protoss, because the amount of drones could have been way higher than what we're looking at right now.
Stargate about to be done, whereas the Spire hasn't even started for Soma, and that means that he should be able to rack up some Overlord kills this time around. First cannon coming in to support those Zealots, so these Lings, no chance.
Look at how late that cannon is, dude.
Yeah.
That's a mini level of... because when he was standing down there at 6 o'clock, he was tying up all the Lings. As you were saying, like, counterattack could have been sick, and yeah, it could have won the game, actually, but he didn't go for it. He was focusing on those Zealots. And only now do we have the first cannon. And as you were saying, Protoss is ahead on technology, so if he can find the Overlords, he can kill one, maybe even two, with the faster Corsair compared to Spire.
A lot of Zealots. So despite losing the first 4, he has 5 already, and actually this may be a Lurker contain, because I still don't see the Spire anywhere. We have the Hydrogen at the natural, and that's an Evolution Chamber.
Yeah, it's looking like he just got the lair for Lurkers. This could be two main things. One is, okay, he actually kills an Overlord there and control blocks the enemy, so that's good. But this could be where you only get the lair for Overlord speed and you flood like an insane amount of Hydras for pre-storm timing. That's a build order people were doing for a while. Or, as you were saying, it could be fast Lurkers. And Protoss is going to come in here and hopefully see the lack of a Spire, and I hope he gets a robotics fast at that point, because if you don't, and Zerg goes for the fast Lurkers, it could be a pretty brutal situation.
It's just impossible to ever get out. And that might actually be Robo on the low ground right there, if we get a click onto those buildings.
Yeah, I have to assume that's a Robo, you know, because you would build it there, it's like a standard place to build it. So that's what I'm assuming it is. Surrounding a Zealot there, pretty sweet. Good job by Soma.
Yep, free kill. And we're still waiting to see what the upgrade actually is. He almost gets another Zealot, man. The link control is pretty phenomenal. That's a lot of Zealots. There's 9 Zealots here.
Yeah, and I'm assuming there's going to be like a +1 speed Zealot timing here. So we don't have any Lurkers yet, do we? So I'm thinking this is like just for Overlord speed that he got the lair, right?
Yep, and the speed did just kick in right now. It's 6 Zealots moving across the map, but just like last game, I didn't really see an opening at any of the positions, so I don't think he can really get any damage done.
Well, maybe he can try to attack with the Zealots and Corsairs at the same time to kill Overlords, but he doesn't really have enough Corsairs to do that, so it's looking like the Sim City is strong enough for Soma to survive without even making a sunken, which is pretty sweet for him.
See, Spire has started at the natural for Soma, so he will have a Muta switch available to him, and actually that's not the Robo, that was a Templar Archive.
Okay. Alright, so luckily for him though, there aren't actually any Lurkers. A Lurkers right now would have been like insanely strong, I'm telling you. He would have been contained right now. And when you have Lurkers and your opponent doesn't have Observers yet, you can actually take a 4th base and just spam an insane amount of drones, but Soma not going for that right now, just going for Overlord speed, it looks like, with a lair. And just relying on Hydras at the moment. He is up a base though with very good drone saturation.
I keep looking at his hatcheries and I saw he was banking up a decent amount of larvae while also having a decent amount of gas built up. So it seems like he may be looking to go for the Muta switch to try and pick off some of those Templars.
Yeah, Muta switch is definitely on the table right now. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see him do that. But in this game, Noob has continued to make Corsairs the whole time. So he's gonna at least have those ready to stop the Mutas. I am so impressed by Noob here that he scouted the lack of a Spire, he scouted the lair, and he still didn't get Observers. And it was the right choice to make, because there haven't been any Lurkers. Insane.
Well, I'm still not a believer in this attack, because look at that Sim City, how do you ever get in there? It's a block, you can't get in there, dude.
Yeah, you really can't. Losing a few units.
What's
Go
he
back
doing?
in? What? He's getting surrounded. He can't even leave. The Mewtwo's catching the Templar.
Yeah,
Where are the Corsairs, though? He had those.
I guess the Scourge killed them.
They're in his base!
It went back to the main, so he loses all of his Templars. He loses, I would say, maybe half of his Zealots. Oh no.
I guess he doesn't even have enough to really deal with Scourge, so fine, but damn, dude, I don't know.
Well,
that was an anti-timing.
Yeah, that was not.
No, he's still making Corsairs, so he does have enough.
Well, he might have. He has 5 now, but there was a lot of Scourge there. There was 6 Scourge. I don't know if he could engage that.
I guess he didn't have enough at the time. Yeah, that's fair enough. Anyway, in any case, Soma's just in a massively dominating position right now. Do we have a Robo even? I guess it doesn't matter because we don't have Lurkers, but, you know, I'm just saying, like, that's still a card Zerg could play at this point.
Yeah, Zerg is up 10 supply. They're taking a 4th base. You just reset.
There we go.
The Protoss Templar count. Like, Zerg can just sit here, go to max. They could go high. They could do anything at this point.
Yeah, such attacks are always so risky to go for, because you never know when the Mutalisks are coming and you don't have any anti-air, just the Zealot and Templar. He made, like, a decent amount of Corsairs, but he didn't make enough for them to actually do anything, so they were actually just a money sink, you know? Like, he made... When you make, like, 4 or 5 Corsairs, they cost a lot, but they don't give you anything. You need, like, 6 or 7 for them to really matter, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And now, Noob has to do something about this, because if he doesn't, Zerg's gonna explode.
But he doesn't have an Observer.
Yeah, he doesn't have an Observer. That's the problem. He also doesn't even have critical mass.
Again with the snipe.
Goodbye. Oh man, Noob, he was playing so well in the first 2 games, and now everything's just falling apart. He's supply blocking Soma, but like you said, there's still no Observer, so these Lurkers burrow, and now everything's gonna get crushed.
Yeah, he can't even really... Well, I guess he can away with some. Wow, it doesn't even matter.
But I'm surprised he just GG's right there, but it is what it is. He had no angle of attack, he couldn't deny any of the bases, and unfortunately, despite looking so strong in the first couple games, Soma gets his revenge and will move out of the group.
Yeah, so it looks like Soma just had to turn it up a notch, you know. He's like, okay, I see what's going on here. You got some tricky stuff, I gotta give you the full power, and he did.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He went Super Saiyan in the last 2 games especially. So I think the 2 players that you expected to make it out of this group, Rush and Soma, they ended up doing so. But you got to give props. Noob played very well. Yoon also played very well. But it's really hard to just get past 2 of these 2 superstars. It's just, unfortunately, it seemed like this was the group of death, honestly. So that is going to be the end of the round of 32. Thank you guys so much for watching Group H. We'll be back in the near future with the beginning of the round of 16, and of course that group, or those groups, are all going to be crazy, so definitely you're going to want to check it out.
Yep, good games, and I'll see you next time.